This is Pickering Station, the southern terminus of the North Yorkshire Moors Railway. 18 glorious scenic miles through the valley bottoms of the North Yorkshire Moors up to the port of Whitby. Now, the line was designed and built in 1836 by the famous Victorian railway engineer George Stephenson, he of the Rocket, of course, and the Stockton and Darlington Railway, some miles to the north of here. Now, interestingly, when the line was first built, well, there wasn't a steam engine to be seen. The coaches and the wagons were all pulled by horses. The first steam engines didn't appear until 1847. And then, of course, the line was used to carry coal, stone and passengers. Well, you can hear the noise. I think it's time to get on board and enjoy the glorious scenery of the North Yorkshire Moors Railway. Until 1948, the railways in this country were operated by private companies, but then came nationalisation and the need to rationalise the network. So this particular line was axed by the infamous Dr. Beeching in 1965. But so incensed were local people that they got together to see if they couldn't keep the line open and run the occasional steam train. Well, the services were so popular that by 1973 the whole thing had to be formalised into the North Yorkshire Moors Railway. These days there are 150 employees supported by 300 volunteers, and they do everything from stoking up the boilers before the first train at 5 o'clock in the morning to damping them down again after the last train gets back at 7 o'clock at night. Well, these days this line links into the National Rail Network at Whitby. There are services every day during the spring and summer months and at weekends during the winter. And most years, well, about 300,000 people or more travel this line. Well, this is our stop, Goathland, and you may of course recognise this place as the fictional village Aidensfield in the ITV series Heartbeat, or also as Hogsmeade Station in the Harry Potter films. About a mile from here, the valley drops 300 foot into Beck Hole, and that posed a few problems for the early engineers, but they came up with an ingenious solution. A rope and pulley system would actually haul the trains up the incline, and that worked fine until 1864 when there was an accident, the rope snapped and 2 people were killed. So then they tried to work out and find a flatter route, so they blasted through the rocks. And shortly after that, steam engines came along which were powerful enough to cope with the incline. There was a reason to build a railway to Whitby in the mid-1830s, to export the fish being landed here, to meet the growing demands of the industrial cities of York, Leeds, Bradford and even further afield. So a line was built from Malton on the York Main Line, across the North York Moors via Pickering to Whitby in 1835. Although until 1845 and the advent of more powerful steam engines, it was horse-drawn due to the severe gradient out of Gromont. That railway was joined by another in 1883. It ran up the coast from Whitby to Loftus, this time to export alum and ironstone being mined in the cliffs. The line along the coast was completed in 1885, when a line was also built to Scarborough from Whitby. Built by different private railway companies, they wanted the quickest, most direct route to industrial centres. So in 1861, a branch was built from Gromont to Middlesbrough, the Esk Valley Line. Rationalisation of the rail network in the mid-1960s saw the closure of both lines running along the coast through Whitby and the line from Whitby to Malton, leaving just the Esk Valley Line operating. But the Malton line, the section from Pickering to Whitby, was rescued in 1973 by the North York Moors Railway, who operate diesel and steam trains along it. At 18 miles in length, it makes it the longest heritage railway in Britain, and it's a wonderful way to arrive at the port.
Stop. Stop.